2. Voila. Hey, Panther fans. Welcome to a very special edition of the 4-Man Rush. I'm your main man, Kevin Avery, a.k.a. 4MR_Country Kev. Coming to you tonight on a Thursday night with a very, very special guest here at the 4-Man Rush, a longtime friend and definitely a wealth of information, highly logical opinions. Joining me and PanthersDen, aka Jadarius, we have Mr. Jared Feinberg joining us here tonight. We're going to be discussing, the current state of affairs of the Carolina Panthers. What's going on, this particular off season, everything from where we're at now, leading up to the draft, and let everybody know what we got going on there. So we're going to cover a variety of topics here. Definitely feel free to put your questions in the chat. We'll definitely make time to try to answer as many of your questions as we can. But first, let's go ahead and introduce our special guest. Jared, welcome to the 4-Man Rush. We've been a huge fan of yours for a while now. Been following nearly all of your tweets, all of your posts, man. A great wealth of detailed information that you put out there. You're definitely a research guy, a film junkie like us. So kind of feel like you are our long lost stepbrother that we done found here. So you definitely we definitely consider you fam. So you're more than welcome to affiliate with us at any time that you like. But I'm gonna turn it over to you, and you can let the people know a little bit about you, your background, anything that you have going on that you would like for them to know. What's going on with you. So take it away.
What's up, guys? It's good to finally join y'all. Been looking forward to this for last day or so. So basically, I'm NFL draft analyst and Carolina Panthers analyst for Cat Crave blog, and as well as a football analyst for BlueChipScouting.com. Most of my true draft content will be on BlueChipScouting.com, but you can also find some Panthers-related draft work over at Cat Crave this offseason. Over the next couple of days, I'll be having a new Panthers mock draft coming out on Cat Crave blog, probably around Sunday morning, probably late morning. So keep an eye out for that. There's going to be a trade involved. So just keep an eye on that when you see the article. And that's all I'll say about the article. It's a little surprise. But yeah, I've been doing this now for probably since either my sophomore or junior year of high school. I really didn't get into football until later into my childhood, probably when I was like 9 or 10 years old. Cam Newton really brought me into football fandom and haven't looked back since. And I blessed that he was able to get me involved in this game and being able to know, hey, that's right, CJ. Yeah, finding the hooker and corral stands for sure. We'll talk about that later on, but I'm blessed to do this. I enjoy doing this. I want to do this for a living. Right now, I don't do it for a living. I hope to do that once I'm finished with college. But, I enjoy talking to the fans. I enjoy giving analysis to everyone. And I would love to keep doing that. And, are some of my takes controversial? Sure. I'm not afraid to be wrong. And if I am wrong, I'll take full accountability. So, I've enjoyed doing this, and I want to see where all this takes me. And maybe I'm covering the Panthers for The Athletic. Maybe I'm the heir apparent for Joe Person. Who knows? But I love talking football with y'all. I love talking football with Kevin, with JD. It's a pleasure to talk football just in general to anyone. I'm a North Carolina native. I'm in Nashville. So I'm in Panthers country. Hopefully I'll be in Charlotte starting this fall, maybe, if I get into grad school, potentially. So looking forward to that. And let's see, what else do I have going on? I do have a full first round mock draft coming out sometime next week after the Super Bowl. Usually I try to get a mock draft out once all the draft picks are in order, once the first round is set and ready to go. No trades involved in this mock draft. So you'll see the Panthers maybe getting a quarterback, maybe not. You'll just have to find out sometime next week. So that's all I got for y'all in terms of background. I'm ready to get this conversation going, man.
All right, Jared, man, appreciate that. So fans definitely hope you were taking notes and jotting down, but you can feel free to go back and rewatch this episode here. As you know, we are on Facebook, Twitter, and on YouTube as well. So definitely make sure. Jared, real quick before we jump into it, let the fans know where they can follow you at on your different platforms like your Twitter and access, just so they can follow along.
You can follow me on Twitter at JRod NFL Draft. It is actually, well, not a link, but if you want to, you can send out a comment. Make sure that everyone gives me a follow. Recently hit over about 1,400 followers. Shout out to Timmy. Love you, Timmy. And yeah, I'm looking forward to putting out some football content. It is the start of NASCAR season. I recently got back into NASCAR. So if you're not a big fan of NASCAR content, just ignore it. Don't worry about it. I'll just be tweeting during the Daytona 500. First sport I really got into when I was a lot younger. But yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at JRod NFL Draft. I am on Facebook at Jared M. Feinberg. I have a public profile. I'm not on it as much. I'm not really doing a ton of stuff on Facebook. Try to avoid Facebook as much as possible. But you know, Twitter is probably worse, but it's manageable. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, just make sure you follow me on Twitter, JRod Info Draft. And if you want to follow me on Facebook, I'll be commenting under some of my articles that are posted on Cat Crate blog.
All right, great. And as far as NASCAR go, I'm definitely a NASCAR fan. Maybe closer to casual, but highly casual. I'm not in detail to it as much as I am football notice, but definitely a NASCAR fan. Definitely like the NASCAR Hall of Fame that's in Charlotte. Definitely a must go to for anybody to check out. And it's connected right to one of my favorite spots, Buffalo Wild Wings as well. So. Hey.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Definitely.
I will say my last two experiences at Buffalo Wild Wings have not been pleasant because of getting the wrong hot sauce and then burning my mouth to shreds. So, yeah, I need to learn better. I need to learn a little bit better.
They set my boy up, bro.
Man.
Somebody get the number on that waitress and get them right.
All these incidents happened in Atlanta too, so blame Atlanta, man. That's crazy.
Of course, it's on brand.
Right. All right, so hey, let's jump into the entrees here. All right, so coming off a wild 2022 season, start off 1-4 under Matt Rule. Steve Wilkes took away over interim basis, went 6-6 to get us to 7-10. Panthers into the offseason with a lot of questions, but also showing a lot of potential as well. Have a new head coach. Got a very tight salary cap. We got a lot of potential free agents on our own that need to be signed, moves to be made. But we're gonna chop this down one at a time. So. Jared, start with you. So with the Panthers offseason, not really too much has been as far as like moves to be made, really just starting to get into the meat and bone things because we just hired our coach not even 2 weeks ago. He's still waiting to fill out his staff. Coach Frank Reich. Definitely excited about him being the coach. I think it's a very solid hire. Don't get me wrong. I was definitely pro Steve Wilkes, but at the end of the day, the front office decided Frank Reich was the deal. I'm 100% behind it. Just give me your opinion on, the whole dynamic that you felt about the hiring of Coach Wright and the pending moves with the coaching staff that's been made so far, and what possibly could be coming maybe after the Super Bowl, Jared.
Yeah, so let's talk about the coaching staff. Frank Reich is the new head coach of the Carolina Panthers, and honestly, Frank Reich was one of my favorites to become the next coach of this franchise. I had a lot of respect, a lot of love for him as a coach in Indianapolis. I thought he was just not in a great situation over there, kind of a scapegoat of sorts. And I felt like if the quarterback situation was stabilized and, if Andrew Luck hadn't retired, maybe Frank Reich is still the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts. Maybe the Colts have a Super Bowl title already. We don't know. And unfortunately, we won't know. But Frank Reich is a great coach, great offensive-minded coach. He has worked with dozens of quarterbacks, Philip Rivers, or not dozens of quarterbacks, but you get the gist. Philip Rivers, Carson Wentz, when Carson Wentz was actually good. And he knows how to develop quarterbacks. He knows how to work with them. He's got a good scheme. He's a Doug Peterson disciple. And I think that will translate over to Carolina. And so I'm very excited, honestly, that Frank Reich is the head coach, because when you heard him during his press conference and during the introduction video he had when he was first hired, on the day he was hired, he wants to bring in the best. He wants to bring in the best at head coach, or not as head coach, on his coaching staff. And so far he's done that. He's hired Ejiro Evero from the Denver Broncos, arguably one of the top defensive coordinators in football, a rising coach who may end up being a head coach in 2024. So if this is a one-year rental, he's already got a successor at hand, probably in Peter Hansen, the linebacker coach. Linebackers were terrific for Denver last year. Baron Browning, they had a really good front seven, and they got to the quarterback consistently, and they were a great defense overall, despite the struggles they had offensively. I had one Broncos fan in my mentions, though, say, Evero's not a good coach because he got smoked by Baker Mayfield on Christmas Eve or on Christmas Day, whenever it was. And I'm like, just one game's not going to dictate what type of coach he is. He's a great defensive coordinator. He's a former Vic Fangio disciple as well. So you're going to see a lot of Vic Fangio-like defense. You're going to see a 3-4 defense, which will probably match with Carolina's personnel defensively right now well. And they're already keeping James Campen, which is huge. Chris Tabor, huge. They brought in Deuce Staley. Not sure what role he's going to be playing on the coaching staff just yet, but I assume it's a significant role. Not sure who the offensive coordinator is. We did find out earlier today that Ben McAdoo will not be the head, or not the head coach, will not be the offensive coordinator for the Carolina Panthers, as Will Klunkel from I don't remember where he works at. My apologies, Will, but Fox. So Ben McAdoo will not be the offensive coordinator. He won't be the offensive coordinator anymore for the Carolina Panthers. Bless up. Yes, indeed. So we will have a new offensive coordinator. Maybe it's Jacksonville's passing game coordinator, Jim Bob Cooter. And I liked what Jacksonville did offensively last year. I think it would be a nice bring in at the offensive coordinator position. But there's still a lot of the coaching staff to fill out. But I really do like what Frank Reich has already. And I do believe he will do some good stuff for Carolina as well.
All right, got a question here from William Teeter Jr. He says, "Are we really sold on Evero as the defensive coordinator with only 1 year of defense coordinator experience? I understand that he was brought up under the tutelage of Fangio, but Fangio has been known to have his defenses fall apart in big games, hence why he's never won a Super Bowl as a defensive coordinator. Should there be some concern?" JD, I'm gonna let you get first crack at this real quick, and then Jared, you can follow with him as well.
My puppy would start barking right when I'm about to answer a question. Not sold on Everone's. Here's my stance on where we're at on defense. This is not a complicated defense to coordinate for, in my opinion. Everything is one gap assignments. We're just gonna play super duper fast. Everybody just go. Don't even think. Just go. And of course, there'll be some scheme deficiencies in that. But given the speed of the defense, you've already got a good core. You got Chin, Burns, Brown, so Luvu, who looks like he looks like a franchise linebacker to me in my eyes. Maybe polish up some tackling, but other than that, like you've got a solid young J.C. Horn. I really love. Even though he couldn't catch a pick last year, you know what I'm saying? He should have had about 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them things. But what's his name?
Xavier Woods.
Xavier Woods.
Yeah, that's my guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Xavier Woods. Yeah. Yes, sir. The wrestler, not the wrestler. Wrong, Xavier Woods. I really like. I think we might be one or two pieces away. Brandon Smith, extremely fast, lanky. It's not going to be a hard defense to coach. And you're going to be able to beat a good majority of the league just because all of our guys are going to beat their blocker, or all of our guys are better or faster, are going to be faster to the play than the offense is. So it's not anything to be concerned about. I can see the concern with like the ceiling of the unit. But again, we're just gonna play so fast that it doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? Like we're gonna make a play. You know, even though I had my doubts or reservations about the defense last year, I just knew in my heart like the defense is gonna make a play where we need it, and we'll be in the game at the end of the game, even with a trash offense. So it's like I can't see that changing a lot, especially if they keep this core together. And I just don't see those concerns. I think Evero is a home run hire for us on the defensive side of the ball if you can't get Fangio.
And to William's point about, Fangio not being really able to do well in big games, falling apart when you need the defense to step up. Evero's not Vic Fangio. Of course, he learned under Fangio, but Evero is his own guy. He is going to run his own defense the way he was taught, but also the way he wants it run. I don't expect it to be a similar fall apart defense at big games like Fangio's did, but Fangio is still one of the best defensive coordinators, if not the best defensive coordinator in football. Evero's probably number 3, number 4 at least. So I don't have any real concerns with Evero. I'm more interested to see, how he utilizes some players. I think Frankie Louvu is going to be a blast in Evero's defense. I think he's going to be used more in that attack role defensively. And, I could see him playing edge as well. I'm pretty sure Carolina will likely target more of a 3-4 stand-up edge rusher or someone that's versatile enough to play 3-4 edge. But, I like what Evero did last year for Denver. I know Carolina beat them. And really, DJ Moore had his day against Pat Surtain. But Pat Surtain, one of the best corners in football. DJ Moore, one of the more underrated receivers in football as well. So I don't have really any concern or very little concern with Evero as defensive coordinator, especially 1 year of experience. And I mean, he was interviewing for head coaching positions, even in Carolina. So the fact that they were able to bring Evero in, what we saw last season, the aggressive defense that they have and how physical they are against the run, I'm really excited to see what Evero does. And especially with Jeremy Chin, I think he's going to have a blast utilizing Chin on multiple fronts.
Yeah, definitely. And I wanted to, pull up some of his coaching background here, because I know the comment was made about him only having 1 year experience as a defense coordinator. He started coaching back in 2005 and 6, UC Davis as an assistant, got with the Tampa Bay Bucks as a defensive quality control coach. Looked like he went back to college for a year and then joined the 49ers from 2011 to 2015. I think that was during the time he was up under Vic Fangio, if I remember correctly. Then took off to Green Bay in 2016, and then he did a 4-year run with the Rams up under Wade Phillips. He was the safety coach as well. So as far as I'm bringing this up to bring up the fact that, he may only have 1 year experience as a quote defensive coordinator, but I feel very confident with being up under Vic Fangio and Wade Phillips that he learned from probably two of the best defensive minds probably in the last 30 years. I mean, these guys are no slouches. These defensive minds, Vic Fangio and Wade Phillips, are right up there with the Dick LeBeaus, the Jimmy Johnsons, as far as their resumes and things of that nature. So I wouldn't hold against Evero for only having 1 year of defense coordinator experience, something that should be about. Everybody got to start. Everybody got to start somewhere. But So as far as the rest of the coaching staff, has been speculated as far as offense coordinator here. Now, me personally, I've been on the Brian Johnson train, the quarterback coach for the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, his quote-unquote boss, offense coordinator, I think it's Steve Steichen, I believe.
Shane Steichen.
Steichen, yes. I believe that things flamed out and he wasn't able to get on with us. It's rumored that if he gets hired, that Johnson may want to stay to move up to the offense coordinator position with the Eagles. So it's still very fluid as far as what potential moves could be made. Now, I know you had mentioned Jaguars passing game coordinator, Mr. Cooter. Me personally, he will be a plan B or C for me at this time. I personally wouldn't have a problem with Deuce Staley. Once getting a shot at the offense coordinator as well. Long time fan of his. I remember watching him in high school. I remember him when he was playing for the Gamecocks. He was nasty, on the field way back in the early 2000s. He definitely has put in his time in the league as well. So I think that we're going to have some good options when it comes to offense coordinator. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up is based on the press conference that Coach Frank Wright had. He was saying that we definitely got to make plays in the passing game, big chunks, get vertical downfield. But he also said running the ball wins championships. So based on that, is there any one of these potential offensive coordinator candidates or out there that seem to maybe can help make that philosophy that Coach Wright put out there a reality? What do you think, Jared?
It's interesting because we really don't know what Reich is going to do in terms of if he's going to call the plays. Is he not? I know Dees wants to. Dees mentioned that offensive coordinator may not be as important, especially with Frank Reich calling the plays. But I could see Deuce Staley being the offensive coordinator. I do think that Jim Bob Cooter is likely the plan B guy. I do hope that if after the Super Bowl, Steichen ends up becoming the Colts head coach, which it seems that he's their top target, then I would see Carolina being very aggressive to try and pull Ryan Johnson to Carolina. Marcus Brady, offensive coordinator in Indy, is a good candidate as well. I could see a lot of Indy guys and guys from Philly or even from Jacksonville coming in and being assistant coaches with Frank Reich, or even being the offensive coordinator. I don't know of many offensive coordinator candidates out there right now. There's one guy. I don't know if he's already been hired by the Texans yet. It's Brian Skolowski, I think. Not sure what if I got that name right. Let me look it up real quick. Let's see. Skolowski, 49ers coaching staff. You were seeing me live working on the coaching staff for no, it's Bobby's Slowick. Bobby Slowick. So he's a candidate to be the offensive coordinator in Houston. But I do expect him to be a potential candidate. And Jordan, I appreciate it. So yeah, Pep Hamilton could be a candidate. I'm not sure if he's going to be staying around in Houston at all. I would love to see Pep Hamilton in Carolina, worked with Justin Herbert. So and Brian Johnson, I think Brian Johnson's likely their top candidate. So, it's going to be interesting. At least Ben McAdoo won't be the offensive coordinator. So, again, interesting to see what they do at offensive coordinator. Willing to be surprised if it's not Brian Johnson, if it's Marcus Brady, Jim Bob Cooter, not sure. So we'll see what happens there.
JD, your thoughts on which potential offensive coordinator candidate seems to have shown the tendencies that would fit what Coach Frank Reich is looking to do here with us?
It's always hard for me to project for coaches that have not been a coordinator, especially your QB coaches and things like that. Yeah, they understand what it takes to develop a quarterback, but their exact schematics, how much they weigh in on schematics and the game plan itself, it's hard to say how much exactly. I find myself rooting for Brian Johnson though, and I'm gonna tell you why. I think of all the guys left, he may be the only one that has direct ties with one of the quarterbacks in this draft. If he comes here, in my mind, Richardson shoots up our board, just straight up.
Yeah.
Just because of the ties there, and he kind of understands. He's worked with them before, so it's like there's already a relationship there, and that goes a long way with developing a quarterback and developing trust. So I can see that happening. I actually root for Brian Johnson to come because I believe if he comes here, he can help influence Frank Reich and those guys to move up at least to 3. I think I don't think you need the first pick to get Anthony Richardson. I think people are way too low on him, myself.
Yep.
And I know we're not getting into the prospect talk of it, but I can't help it. If we're talking about revitalizing an offense, giving them an identity, Brian Johnson and Philly have been the primary, the cornerstone of what we're trying to be. We're trying to be a team that runs the rock, blocks well, also has the explosive element in the air. I can't see a better scenario than getting Brian Johnson here. After that, I'm impressed with the development of Trevor Lawrence down in Jacksonville. I think they made the passing game extremely easy for him to take that next step. I know people will be like, well, it's not saying much because he had a crackheaded quarterback head coach, but it's an improvement, brother. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's any improvement, any way we can get it is what we want. So Jimbo Cooter is a name I'm watching. I want to know. I'll dig more into what they did to foster some of that improvement. After that, I'm honestly completely in the dark. I have no idea what could happen. As long as whoever the offense coordinator is aggressive and understands how to get to not abandon the run, and also mixes in plenty of play action passes, things like that. I think it'll be important. Now, I think we're not coming out of this draft with an immobile quarterback. So one of our quarterback, whoever it is, whether it's Stroud, who's probably not the best athlete, but he can do his work on the ground if he needs to. Whether it's Bryce Young, and I know people will say Reich likes tall quarterbacks. Reich also likes guys that can move the pocket, and Bryce Young's probably the best at that in this class. Anthony Richardson, again, who can move the pocket, probably a 4.4, 4.3 athlete, just like straight up, he's explosive. So we're coming out of this draft with somebody that can move. Will Levis is a good athlete as well. So mix in some RPOs, keep the run game going, play action passes, and I'm golden. I'm ready to rock and roll. I'm not picky. It's not hard to upgrade from Ben McAdoo.
Not at all. Not at all. I honestly, yeah. I think whoever they get, it's going to be an upgrade. Do hope for Brian Johnson, but I think we will be surprised at who it is. I have no idea who that will be. And I see we're already getting plenty of Will Levis comments.
I started it. My bad.
JD, what are you doing, man? What are you doing?
I'm a draft guy.
I'm a
draft guy, brother.
It's
in my DNA, brother. I'm sorry.
But let me say this real quickly, throwing that. I know y'all saying about an aggressive offense coordinator, but like, let's get offense coordinator that's aggressive, but also has common sense. If it's 3rd and 1, let's just line up and run the ball, 21, 22 personnel, not spread it all out and, got all this crazy motion and just like so many times I've seen previously with the Panthers got too cute when it wasn't necessary. Sometimes it's just as simple as, getting a ham and cheese sandwich. Yep. It doesn't have to be filet mignon. It doesn't have to be, anything all like sometimes just simply lining up, punching them in the mouth, get that 1.5 yards on 3rd and 1 and redo the sticks. That's one of the things that kind of annoy me. I mean, maybe I'm more old school with it. Don't get me wrong. I got no problem running out of the shotgun, pistol thing like that. But sometimes you just need that quarterback to get up under center with that fullback, tight end, running back, and just punch the other team in the mouth just to let them know we ain't playing around today. That's all I want. I just want common sense on when the down and distance is obvious what needs to be done. That's just me.
That's
I get it. I think Frank Reich will end up doing that. I think he's not going to shy away from run the ball when they need to, run the ball when they don't need to. And I do expect 1st and 2nd down situations to be a lot better than they were last season because just
thank God.
Yeah. I do expect a good bit of Doug Peterson influence in Charlotte this upcoming season.
Oh yeah, Doug Peterson, and also experience with Ken Weinhurst as well, because that's also part of when Evero had his time out there. Excuse me, with the I forgot the team he was with, but yeah, he also got. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Imagine if Reich decided to bring back John Fox, senior offensive assistant or senior defensive assistant, and then they bring back Don Don Capers to be a defensive assistant as well. And you got the whole crew back, man. All you're missing is Rivera, and you're good to go.
Yeah,
man. That'd be crazy.
All right. Well, now that we've covered a little bit about the coaching staff here, Jared, one of the real reasons I wanted to, another one of the reasons I wanted to reach out to you to join us, because I definitely wanted to get your opinions here. It's no secret the Panthers' salary cap situation is not exactly sexy or ideal at the moment here. Depending on what source you want to use, you're seeing anywhere from we're currently $5 to $10 million over the cap. Now, with that being said, again, depending on which source you want to use, me, I'm a fan of Spot Track. Also do over the cap. Now, I see where there could be a range of anywhere to $40 to possibly $50 million that can be freed up with a variety of moves. Some of the things I'm seeing that would help was taking our top 3 salaries, which would be Moton, Moore, and Shaq Thompson, and who's already been restructured twice, which is why his is up to $24 million, to converting, those base salary and the signing bonuses.
Mm-hmm.
That would help out a lot. Also, I saw where by releasing players like F-Line and a couple other, what's the linebacker name? Wilson.
Yep.
I think somebody else.
And even potentially Thompson as well.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Now with Thompson, I would hope he would go to Charles Johnson route with us. I don't know if you remember or not, Jared, but back in about 2015. Yeah, okay. Charles Johnson voided out his contract. At the time, $16 million for him was considered absurd for a defensive end. Now that's actually a low-key, decent deal with today's current market. But he voided out his contract and took redid a contract that was more salary cap friendly. I know Shaq Thompson responded on Twitter a couple of days. I think it was yesterday?
2 days ago, I think. It was like 2 days ago, and he just started going to town on a fan, and I'm like, I love fans. I really do, but sometimes they just need to keep their mouth closed in a way. Like you say this stuff on Twitter, you even at the players as well, and they're going to see that anyway. So I'm not a fan of that. I'm not a fan of trying to completely bash a player entirely and be like, oh, he's overrated at whatever. At Shaq Thompson is overrated. And then you have Shaq Thompson responding and then coming right back at you. I'm like, listen, let's not do this. Let's not. I mean, there's no reason to go after players like this. Now, constructive criticism, that's okay. Full on bashing a player, I'm out. I can't do it. I don't want to lose a job for just bashing a player completely. All just because maybe he wasn't good, maybe he didn't play up to par. I'm going to bring a good critique to it. So I just wanted to get that out of the way. So sorry, needed to get that off my chest.
No, you're definitely fine.
I'll bash the players for you. I ain't got no job right now. I ain't got no credibility to sacrifice. You know what I'm saying? Nah. I'll be chilling on these players for real. In the group chat now. Nah. If them chats leak, it's all right.
Yeah. He used to be the biggest DJ Moore hater. Now he's a DJ Moore groupie. So
man, you flipped the switch just like that.
Proudly.
He's seen the errors of his
Proudly.
ways. He'll be rocking a DJ Moore jersey this upcoming year.
With pride. With pride.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
With pride, not named
Shameless. Shameless.
At least you
Yeah.
owned up to it. At least you owned up to it.
Oh yeah. Look, it's one thing about JD. It's one thing about JD. JD ain't afraid to be loud and wrong. You know what I'm saying? I'll eat a little crow burger. You know what I'm saying? Just make sure it's medium rare. I'll be all right.
Just put a little Mrs. Dash on it.
Yes, sir.
Just make sure it's seared nicely. Put that little more foil on it. Put that water in the pan. Make sure it's.
Give me the little crispy edges, the little crispy. The little crisp, like you think maybe it's burnt, but it's not.
Right.
So I do want to.
But Jared, I'm sorry. The point I was trying to make, Jared, was
yeah.
What are your ideas and thoughts on how the Panthers can free up some salary cap space to because I feel like it's more important for us to re-sign our own players more so than try to bring in others like Deontay Foreman, Bradley Bozeman. Now, even though Frankie Louvu got 1 year left, I would like to lock him up before we get in bidding wars because the statistics he put up this season, his stuff, we don't go ahead and quote try to get the best quote home count discount with him. Now, I think next season is going to be a bidding war. Now, we'll definitely have more salary cap to work with next year, but if there's some way they can finagle it, I would like for those three players to be taken care of if at all possible, including a Brian Burns extension. But give me your takes on salary cap and moves and what you think could help the team out.
Now, I'm not the best on like money in terms of like understanding base salary, all that type of stuff. Like usually I'll just mess around spot rack, understand what they are. I'll look it up, see like, oh, this guy has a certain market value, stuff like that. But horrible at math, so just ignore me when it comes to any sort of money sort of things on Twitter when I mention salary cap, stuff like that. I do my best. But let's talk about how the Panthers can create this cap space. You mentioned it, like if they do a simple base resalary, and I'm actually doing the whole roster management thing on Spot Rack right now. You restructure DJ Moore's contract to a simple base salary restructure. You save $12.5 million. Then you're $2 million under the cap. You go with Taylor Moton. You save another just over $6 million in cap space. You're at $8 million in cap space. Even restructure Dante Jackson. That's $10 million. Now, here's the interesting thing. Austin Corbett just tore his ACL. It's going to be harder for them to try and restructure his contract because of the injury. I mean, maybe Corbett does agree to a restructure. And if that's the case, they save another $3 million. They only save about $1.8 million with Dante Jackson. They'll save about $3.3 million with Austin Corbett and a restructure there. If they cut Pat Elflein, that'll boost them up to, let's see, $18 million. So they save another $4 million. If they restructure,
I heard with Elflein, I saw a tweet earlier. It was actually releasing him with add $8 million, I believe.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah, so I had saved that tweet on my phone here, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So my dog.
So with Pat Elflein, you save about $4.5, $8 million. You're probably in the $25 million range, somewhere around there. Jarrett does math, not great. But anyways, you do a simple restructure with Ian Thomas. I mean, you're only saving about $1 million. If you cut him straight up, still about $1.5 million. Not much there. So let's just, in this scenario, let's do a simple base salary restructure. Saves about $1 million. We're at $19 million in cap space already. Damian Wilson, we cut him. $22 million. Now here's the big one. What do you do with Shaq Thompson? That's going to be a big one.
Yep.
If you release him, you're at $36 million. You save about $13.1 million in money. So,
but you had 11 in dead cap though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, the dead cap's going to hurt for sure.
And just to let you know, I'm sorry, Jared.
No, go ahead. No. Go ahead. You're fine.
I found the tweet here. It was dated back January 4th. It says the Panthers can create $8.56 million in cap space by releasing both Elfline and D. Wilson. And it says they can create another $10.33 million by converting half of Taylor Moton and half of DJ Moore base salaries into signing bonuses. So it coincides with what you were coincide along with what you was just now saying. So yeah, you pretty much been spot on with your numbers. I just went back and found that tweet that had the numbers specifically. Plus, let's not forget they still haven't officially rolled over the $10 million that was left over from this season on.
So we'll still be under the cap anyway.
Right.
And I want to bring up Shaq Thompson again because, what are you going to do with him this offseason? Has he played his last snap with the Panthers? Has he not? I honestly believe he'll probably play out the rest of his contract. I would like to see him in Evero's defense. I want to see what he looks like in Evero's defense. I think he can be really, really fun in this structure. And, and Troy, bring up the question, do we bring back Deontay Foreman? That's a tough question because you don't want to overpay a running back, especially with the current market right now. I mean, Saquon Barkley is going to be a free agent. Tony Pollard, Miles Sanders. So the Panthers have options for replacement. Now, I'm worried that my biggest worry is that they're going to overpay. And, if Foreman's willing to come back on another 1-year deal, I'm all in. My biggest concern is, I think his market value, the last I checked, it was like 1 year, $4 million, 1 year, $7 million. So it's not terrible. It's not terrible at all. I mean, that's super cheap. But
right. Plus, Frank Wright mentioned him in his presser as well. I thought that was pretty.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, okay, he's not even on the contract and he's already mentioned Foreman.
Yeah. So I do think they're going to try to make it a priority to bring back Foreman. If they don't, this is a great running back class. And not only the draft, but free agency as well. They can go after running backs in free agency. They can have a really nice running back by committee if they go after a couple guys. You could have one guy on passing down situations. You can have your all around do it all running back as well, kind of rotate him in as well. With Frank Reich, you're going to see the hot hand come into the game. You're going to see the hot hand used a lot. So, before Jonathan Taylor, they didn't really run the ball as efficiently as they did with Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor, of course, is special talent, but they always went with the hot hand. Sometimes that was Marlon Mack. Sometimes that was Nyheim Hines. They weren't going to commit to one singular guy for the rest of the season. They were just going to go game by game to see who had the hot hand. So it's going to be really interesting to see what they do at running back. Let's see. History of Frank Reich, pulling off trades, get quarterback, trading back, expected trades, pull off. I mean, certainly a possibility. Certainly a possibility there will. And I'm really curious to see if they actually do make any moves because, of course, if they do try to make a move on a player, of course, that's going to cost draft picks. I don't know if they really want to give up draft picks if they're looking to trade up for a player. I think they want to keep that and they want to keep those picks in case they're able to trade up. Now, they could always trade up before the draft. They can trade up during the draft. I just don't know. I don't know if they're going to trade Shaq Thompson. I doubt it. I wouldn't be surprised if they do. I just doubt they will. I don't see any other player on the roster that's really considered a tradable asset. I think they have the roster in place, like just from a core perspective. I don't think they really need to trade anyone. I know there will be some fans that'll say trade Dante Jackson ASAP. I'm like, he's a solid number 2 corner. I'm not going to touch that topic though, as it can get very, very, very. What's the right word? chaotic, I guess.
I like that word.
Get quite chaotic. Deez has a question. Would you target a free agent, or who would you target in free agency for nose tackle in the 3-4? I mean, you already have your nose tackle, Derek Brown. You have Derek Brown. You don't really need to. I mean, he could play nose tackle, but he could also play 3-4 defensive end. But I don't know if Brown has that flexibility, has the hip flexibility to play in the as a 3-4-4 tech or in a 3-4-5 tech. I just don't know there. That'll be something interesting. Let me look at some of the free agents. I do have the free agent tracker pulled up here, so let's take a quick look here. Let's see. All positions. We are going to go to defensive tackle, and we are going to see if this will actually work. Spot Rag is the worst in terms of loading players because it's just super laggy. And for someone that struggles with patience, yeah. Let's see. Fletcher Cox is available. Javon Hargrave, Dalvin Tomlinson, Derek Nadati. Definitely one name that I would love to see in Carolina. He was with Evero last year. Draymond Jones. I would love to see him. Yes, I would love to. I mean, he was an impact player for Denver last season, and I would love to see him on that defensive line. I could definitely see him as a potential target in free agency, so that's a name to really consider this offseason. I don't know if they're really going to go after any of the big ticket free agents considering their cap situation. I think they want to have the money available to extend Brian Burns and also Frankie Louvu if they need to. Of course, they have to consider extending Jeremy Chin and Derek Brown over the next year or two. So, you got to be smart with the money. You don't want to be too aggressive. You don't want to be too chaotic with what you have in terms of cap space and also draft capital. So, free agency is going to be interesting. Tight end could be a potential target. Tight end class, both in free agency and the draft, it's also good. So the Panthers have options. And one of the funniest things I always see every year is that fans want all the draft needs taken care of during the draft, or all the team needs taken care of during the draft. I'm like, you can't accomplish all your needs in the draft. Yep. It's just not possible. Can't really accomplish you can't really fill all of your needs in a single offseason. I've never seen a team completely fill out all their needs in one offseason. Like, it's very rare to do that. So, we may have a few positions of need going into the season that weren't really addressed. There's always that possibility, but I do like the structure of this team already. And I do like the free agent class this year. I'm going to dive into that free agent class a little later on. Probably do some articles over the next couple of weeks, maybe like some free agents to target at certain positions, maybe running back, defensive tackle, especially at 3 tech. So Rashad Penny to Carolina, possibly. Just never know. This is a really good free agent class. I could see Seattle bringing back Rashad Penny for sure. Draymond Jones, man. He was a force for Denver last season. I mean, the box score is not really going to tell the whole story. I don't think personally, PFF for me, I'm not going to really take PFF's grade with a grain of salt. I'm more like, from what I saw when Carolina played Denver, Draymond Jones was a heck of a football player. So really excited to see if they're able to capitalize on Draymond Jones this offseason. You're muted, I think.
Sorry about that. But yeah, one of the things I particularly was liking here, reading about Draymond Jones, was 7 sacks, 33 quarterback hurries, 5 hits, so 45 total pressures. Uh, you know, to add that alongside, what Derek Brown does, like that interior pass rush. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm definitely a fan of bringing back at the right price Matt Iodonis for us. I think that, again, if you know defensive line play, stats never tell the story. But he was very disruptive, interrupted a lot of blocking schemes. I had fun watching him on all 22. It was just so many times that he just blew it up, and somebody else came in and got made the tackle or the play or the tackle for loss. But a lot of times it was because he was a very disruptive force in the play not being executed the way it was designed, with his penetration, with his play recognition, and things of that nature. But to add a Draymond Jones you mentioned earlier, I'm definitely can see that going. As you, like I said, I know you take their grades with a grain of salt, but 67.3 pass rush for interior defense lineman, I'll take that. I'll take that all.
For sure.
I'll take that all day. Particularly looking at these 33 hurries. I mean, it's good he got 7 sacks, but he's making that quarterback throwing that ball a lot earlier than he wants to. So, I definitely like that aspect of his particular game here.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll keep this up in the background. If there's any other players you guys wanted me to, quick check real quick to see what they look like. But yeah, I would like for Derek Brown and coming up on his 4th year to show his complete game. I think he showed a more dominant force this year. I just want to see if there's any pass rushing that be unlocked. Like I said, I know he's not going to be like Aaron Donald by no stretch of the imagination, but can we get 5 or 6 sacks out of him? If we got 5 or 6 sacks, like I said, 20, 30 hurries, 10 quarterback hits. Like, can we get something alongside with to add to what he's already doing to justify the type of payday that he's going to command? Because best believe once we take care of Brian Burns, he would definitely be the next one up for a big contract on the defense would be him. So I would just like for him to add more to his pass rush resume to justify the pending payday that's obviously coming his way.
I could see, honestly, like, let's take a player, for example, Dexter Lawrence, defensive tackle from New York Giants, mainly a nose tackle for the Giants, but he's a very versatile player along that defensive front for Brian Daboll's defense. And, his track is similar to what we're seeing with Brian Burns. Like, you didn't really see a lot of production and a lot of true good impact over the first couple of years or so. And then as soon as Dexter Lawrence is entering his 5th year option, he's likely getting an extension this offseason. He had a great season. He was arguably one of the Giants' best players. And so I could see that being Derek Brown next year, where Derek Brown comes onto the scene finally, ends up being a true impactful player that will get an extension as he's entering his 5th year. It's probably a similar track to Brian Burns also. Like, Brian Burns, he was putting up production, and he was putting up solid production first few years. And then this past season, it finally clicked. He ended up becoming a better run defender, and also he showed the talent he has as a pass rusher. And so look here, I mean, PFF graded him really well in all facets overall: run defense, pass coverage, or pass rush and run defense. There's a lot to like about Brian Burns. I do think he could be somewhat a tiny bit more consistent, but honestly, he's such a good player. He already is a good player. And right now he is who he is. And if he's able to get that production up under Evero, and I think Evero would do a really good job with him, I could definitely see Derek Brown coming onto the scene as becoming one of the better interior defensive linemen in the National Football League.
JD, anything you want to throw in?
I have really nothing to add. There's a couple of guys in the free agent class that are a little bit more multiple too. There's a guy I dropped, I think, in on Twitter. Let me see his name, and we can look at his PFF too. But he's 6'5", 280, so he's more of that tweener that we're looking for.
Mhm.
He can be an edge, or he can slide down and play a little bit of 3-4 defensive end. Let's see. It's a weird name. Let me see.
Oh, I think I know who you're talking about.
Oh my God.
Crap.
What's this man's name?
See,
Omenihu.
Neo.
Charles
yeah.
Omenihu. Yeah,
Yes.
San Fran.
Oh, I loved him coming out. I loved him coming out of
Yeah,
Texas.
he was out of Texas.
Loved-
Yeah, I remember
Yeah,
him,
I
yes,
loved what he did
yes.
at Texas. I think he would be a really nice piece to this defense. He's been an impactful player. I just don't think he's been able to really settle in one place.
Yeah.
But I loved him coming out of Texas. I really did.
There's some guys we can get this defensive line addressed. You know, in the free agency class, to kind of free us up to where we don't have to pigeonhole ourselves into taking an edge come draft time.
Yeah. I will say though that the edge class isn't like, it's not like super jaw dropping, you know. Yannick Ngakoue, like he could definitely be an option. Let me look at his market value real quick. If it'll load. See, this is why I don't like Spot Rack, because they just like it loads and loads and loads and whatever. But let's see. Nagoye has a average annual calculated market value of $14.8 million. So his projected contract, 4 years, $59.2 million. That would put him at 12th overall in terms of all defensive or pass rusher contracts. So that's not bad at all. That would be good. But of course, you need to accolade some more money to other positions. We just don't know how free agency is going to turn out. I think after the combine, after that weekend, we'll know a lot more of what Carolina plans on doing in free agency, who they plan on targeting. If they're going to be involved in any trades anytime soon, it'll be interesting to see what they do there.
There's also another name. I'm gonna throw this name out there too, Kev. It's all these weird names in this free agency class. Lord, he is from where is he from? He played for Houston, and he's more of like a outside backer, edge guy. It started with Ogbania or Corey or something like that. He's a little bit better against the run.
Yeah,
I
know who you're talking about. Let me look at it.
I'm trying to get another edge, and potentially one falls in the draft or whatever. Be able to get that and then have a whole new rotation essentially. So something to keep an eye on.
Here. Let's see. Yeah. Ogronko. Yeah.
Yeah, that's that. Yeah, that's that man.
Let's see. He was only averaging, what was it, 3.2 million? Wow.
Yeah. There's some value there, man.
Yeah. I mean, you could probably get him for $10 million a year.
I'm not scoffing at that at all.
Nope.
I'll take it.
Let's see.
You said played for Houston?
Yeah, he played for Houston. One more. You see him?
Yeah.
There you
right
go.
Here.
Yep, that's him.
Outside linebacker.
He run about 250, 260 as far as weight.
That's Raheem Green. Rasheem Green. Green wouldn't be a terrible option either, to be honest. be more of a 3-4 defensive end in Carolina's scheme. I don't know if there's any other. There's not a lot of like terrific options out there. Zach Allen could be a potential target. Other than that, I'm not entirely impressed with the whole free agent class at edge, or just in general.
Well, let me ask you this. I'm gonna say middle of the prime. I think Buffalo will resign him, but what about a Jordan Phillips at 30?
Get a veteran on the defensive front. Yeah, that wouldn't be terrible. But of course, I mean, they could always bring back Matt Udonis. So,
which I'm
all for. I think Udonis would be productive. I really do think anyone could really succeed well in Evero's defense. I guess such a great scheme, man. Just such a great defensive scheme. I love when Evro runs that 3-2-6. They'll sometimes drop one of the backers into coverage and then send another on the blitz. And I mean, they'll have certain NASCAR packages as well. I know Phil Snow loved them NASCAR packages.
Yes,
love them. Yeah.
I love them too, JD, I need that.
JD, you remember this name? Chase Winovich?
Chase Winovich, yeah.
Who's crazy about him coming out of Michigan?
Yeah.
He didn't really turn out as well as
Cleveland. A lot of Cleveland players disappointed me, man.
Yeah. I think the last couple of years have just not been. I think it's the quarterback issue, and also they have other position, like their defensive front is just they got no depth, depth whatsoever. They have got to get. Yeah, Udonis was a monster on Washington's 3-4.
Oh wait, Ryan Kerrigan. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Kerrigan. Loved him. He was so underrated, man. He's now a coach in Washington. He retired and became a coach. I'm like,
hey, I didn't even know
that. Ryan Kerrigan could be a defensive coordinator in a few years.
Yo, what about what Ron? I'm surprised. Sorry, guys. What about what Ron Rivera said? They're not all they're not committed to giving a 5th-year option to Chase Young. That kind of
that blew my mind.
It's like what?
I think they want to see how he does this year. I think coming off the torn ACL,
right.
I think Chase Young will. I do see Chase Young having a similar trajectory to what Nick Bosa had. Like Bosa was really solid in year 1, tore his ACL in year 2, year 3. Is it year 3 already for him? Wow. Year 4, I think they're going to give him the 5th-year option. Honestly, I have a hard time not seeing them pick up the 5th-year option on him because he's such a talented pass rusher. I think he gets it together. I think Young's in for a massive year this year. I think he's ready to go and become a superstar. I hope I'm right, honestly, because it'd be a shame if Young just kind of flattened out like he has. It's just torn ACL. I don't know if Jack Del Rio's scheme is really the best for him. I don't know. I don't know if he's really a true stand-up edge. I think he likes playing his hand in the dirt and just skyrocketing off the ball.
Right.
I don't know if they want to give. It's odd because have you seen enough from him to give him an extension, offering him an extension now? I would say possibly. And do you give him the 5th-year option and allow him to potentially make that price go higher? It's something you have to consider. Like he's coming off an ACL, so if you like, hey, we're gonna get this extension done now, I guarantee you, Chase Young's camp is gonna be like, no, tag us, then let us prove it.
Yeah, I think they go the route of the tag. Honestly, there's just a lot unknown with Chase Young. There really is. Ball hawking safeties. I can look at that real quick. I mean, I have it pulled up on my screen.
I already got one
Jesse
pulled up
Bates.
here. Boy, get out my head, man.
Jesse Bates.
Get out my head. Watch this here. Make this disappear. Boom. Boom. Stop.
Jesse Bates is going. I don't know if they go with Jesse Bates. I honestly don't. I mean, I wouldn't be. It would be great if they did bring in Jesse Bates, but I think that's more just like if this was Madden, get Jesse Bates, no question. But I don't know. Jimmy Ward, veteran safety.
Let me see.
3 interceptions last year. Maybe San Francisco brings him back. I'm not sure, but I would love to see a veteran presence on that back end. Xavier Woods hasn't been fine. He's been fine, honestly. Just keeps dropping interceptions. I mean, I think the ball production will be there next year, if given the opportunity. Let's see. There's Von
I like the
Bell.
fact with Bates only 7 missed tackles. That's important.
Yes.
As a safety, I mean, I'm just looking at overall. We got our Wake Forest homers who definitely would like for him to come back.
Yeah.
This way, I'm looking at a passer rating allowed of only 86.1. Here
what
as
if?
well. But I think both of the safeties for the Bengals, I saw in the free are Bell is the other one. He's also a free agent, so will they have enough to re-sign both? One might pop available. Who knows?
One name, and it's a name that fans were very unhappy about that they didn't take in 2019. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Yes. CJ Gardner-Johnson. Mm-hmm. He's a free agent. His market value right now is $14 million. His projected contract is 5 years, $70 million. And I honestly seriously doubt Philly's going to let Gardner-Johnson walk. I'd be shocked if they did. Because
isn't he hurt right now?
I think he's back. He's back, if I'm not mistaken.
Let's see.
Because I haven't heard his name called in a hot minute during the playoffs at all.
I'm not sure. Jesse's going to tax us. Yeah.
My concern with going after Bates is the bidding war that's going to come with it.
Oh yeah, he's going to want a big contract. Yeah.
We back at the dollar store. This we may be able to go to Walmart. We may be able to hit Target up on maybe one player, maybe, but
we not.
They have to go to Dollar General.
We definitely not Ruth's Chris level of dining right now. We at.
Hey,
shape.
Listen, hopefully
we're doing Aldi's.
Hopefully after this coming season, fingers crossed, we can be Ruth's Chris.
Yeah, right. Like I was gonna say, if he was a free agent next offseason, maybe we could talk. But with this offseason coming, you got to pay Brian Burns.
The dead cap hurting us.
You got to pay Brian Burns. You got to pay Derek Brown.
Yeah, got to pay Chin as well.
Yeah.
See, next offseason we'll have State 48 money.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yes, sir.
Yeah. That's right.
I would just say keep an eye out on
watching UDFA. Now. Here's the thing. You're going to see every year we see players that we don't expect to be undrafted free agents whatsoever end up becoming available, end up signing with the team. I would love to see Caroline take advantage of that this year. Take a chance on a player, talented, undrafted, take a shot. Trying to think, and never mind.
Look, if you want a safety, just watch the single high, the guys that operate in single high coverages. in the middle of the field with the NASCAR. One thing about Evero and the reason why we beat him so bad is he kind of isolated Surtain on DJ Moore, and then just had it that way. And well, we just had time. We blocked blitzes and gave up Sam Darnold enough time. So
personally, I thought our offensive line matched up really well with their front four or their front seven. I thought they matched Denver's physicality. I think that's a big reason why they won that day. Offensive line was just phenomenal. I'm so glad. I'm so glad offensive line's not needed anymore, man. I'm so happy. Like
we're not dying to get
right.
Well, I mean, both of our
talk about a kid.
Guards, we are, we got fractured ankle for, Brady Christensen, who relies on his athleticism. Like I say, with Corbett, it's in the torn.
I mean, Cade Mays is nice to have as depth. I do think they need depth this offseason, and especially in the draft. I think they can get some good depth in the draft.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, there's definitely a like I got no problem every year we drafting some type of lineman. Like I really have no problems with that, and this year is definitely this draft is definitely deep. I'm particularly because as much as I want us to re-sign Bozeman, and I think he wants to be here long term, we definitely need to have a contingency plan there as far as someone that could play both center and guard.
Yeah.
Also, I like someone that be able to play both guard spots, like I said, to to flip flop, and then of course, always it's good to have that swing tackle here in place. But we can, Corbett, he's due to how late it's going to happen. He's going to be one of those that we're going to have to. He's going to have to be slowly worked into training camp. Like he's so don't be surprised if he sits out all the offseason activities and then be slowly worked in. And one thing that I can tell you from experience, the offensive line takes absolutely the longest to gel. So out of necessity, we want to welcome him back, but we need to have someone that's ready to step up to play, because one thing about offensive linemen, once you have a severe injury to your lower extremities, it's 50-50 if you get your strength, your flexibility, and your mobility back the way that you had it.
Especially your anchor. Especially the anchor. Yeah. I mean, you got to anchor well, and you don't want your knee giving out while you're anchoring. I've seen that happen.
Like, think about, what happened with Matt Khalil, before his injury. And then we got him, and, it just wasn't quite the same. I was going out on a limb. Oh, yeah, he got it. And, interior offensive line should definitely be in play, particularly on day 3. And this draft is definitely, from what I've seen, deep enough for us to possibly draft a guy or two to come in. Because even though, quote, Brady Christensen had a solid season at left guard, there's still a lot of meat on the bone left to be desired as far as the ability to get push in the run game, things of that nature. He definitely was a very adequate pass blocker. But like I said earlier, Jared, when it's 3rd and 1, we need a yard. We got to put boots to asses here and get that defensive line pushed back to pick up that first down. And it was times where, Brady Christensen was just lighting the ass back when it came to that. So,
and I do think that Christensen, he has adequate power. He has enough power. He has enough functional strength. I don't really have any true concerns on that front. And, he's a second-year player, or he's going to be a third-year player. And he'll return probably after the first several games of the season. I assume he'll be back in time for the upcoming, or for the preseason at least. I again, bringing in depth is important. And free agency, the drafts, So your target's definitely free agency. I wouldn't be surprised if they go after some interior offensive linemen in the draft. They may or may not sure, but if they're able to still have some continuity with Cade Mays starting, likely starting at left guard or at right guard. I have a lot of trust in James Campen to keep this unit still meshed together, even with the loss of Corbett and Christensen going into next season, or at least for the first 8 games. At least I would say that's probably the range of games they'll miss. They'll likely start on the PUP list, physically unable to perform list, but I do like that they did address a little bit their depth issues last offseason on the offensive line. And I think they'll address that as well this year. I think you got to continue to address depth at every position going forward. I mean, you want to have continuity across the board on this roster, especially when you're hoping to compete to be the leaders of the NFC South with Brady gone. You got to continue to have good depth, and that's important. I don't think people really grasp the understanding of, sure, having all these great players is nice and all, but you need depth to continue to have that success as well, for long-term success at least.
Yeah, I definitely feel like that is, you like to have a nice 9-man rotation with the offensive line. Now, Jared, I don't know how you feel. I've always been a fan that I felt like that the inactive list is like one of the most annoying things about the NFL for me. If you make the 53-man roster, I feel like that you should be able to play come Sunday. I mean, don't get me wrong, I get it. Players are injured or, that's going to be out for a few weeks. I get why they are inactive, but if you're, healthy, too many games are decided by injuries when you got a player that's on the team, on the roster that could, fill in, but, because you only allow so many, to be active, it's just one of those things that's always annoyed me about that set of circumstances here, because at any given point, an injury happened, and then you can turn the point of a game just like that.
And the player you would hope to put in that situation, he's not even dressed for the game, So
yeah, he's in hoodies and sweats.
Right. So I get it. I totally get it. I don't have an issue with the inactive list, honestly. It is what it is. I don't have any hard feelings. It's just the way that the rosters are set up nowadays. And, for as long as I can remember, this is always how it's been. So I do like where you can stash practice squad players, make priority players on the practice squad, elevate them for games, have them for depth. But I really don't disagree with what you're saying, Kevin. Not one bit.
Okay. All right. Well, we say the best for last here. This last point here. So, NFL draft is going to be in Kansas City this year. Last year was in Las Vegas. I was there, had a great time. I hope they do Vegas again soon. Just definitely enjoyed myself. So, many rumors, many speculations about what the Carolina Panthers are going to do. You have your crowd, your group that want to see us trade up so that we can grab the franchise quarterback, have the pick of the litter, per se. Some want us to trade up as far as the 1 overall pick. Some 3 or 4, ahead of the Colts. It's been already rumored that 2 teams have already made offers to the Chicago Bears for the number 1 overall pick. We have to see how that plays out. Then you have those fans that want us to sit still see who drops, because again, the court, every year there's always a surprise, and you can get who you want without, having to give up those draft picks. And then you have those fans who feel like that maybe we could trade back and still get what we want and pick up some extra picks because we are so tight with the salary cap. So Jared, with those three different scenarios here, in your opinion, and I know you wrote a piece on it, so without giving it away or whatever, tell me your thoughts on the different options that could help the Panthers out with the number 9 pick. Stay where they at, move up, drop back.
Personally, I think the last couple of years, we've wanted the team we should trade back, we should trade back, we should trade back. That's only because we thought the team was in a true rebuild, and you want to acquire as many picks as possible to go and get that quarterback. Well, now you've gotten the picks to get that quarterback via Robbie Anderson and Christian McCaffrey trades. So I wouldn't be surprised of a scenario where they do trade back, especially if none of the quarterbacks they're interested are available, like the top 4 quarterbacks: Richardson, Stroud, Young, Levis. If none of them are available, which would just be worst case scenario, I would trade back. But likely one of the top 4 quarterbacks will be available at 9 overall. I'd be shocked if they didn't make it. I would say trading up for Stroud or Young, I think it's totally worth it. And maybe trading up to the number 1 overall pick, it's certainly risky. I mean, you're giving up a ton of draft capital for the future as well. So I'm not the biggest fan of trading up for number 1, but if they want Bryce Young that bad, they can definitely do that. But I could see them, Scott Fitter as GM, he hasn't traded back whatsoever. In his time as the general manager of the Carolina Panthers, he's rarely traded back in the first round. It's because the Panthers have had top 10 draft picks the last several years. There's been no really big reason to. They've been able to get great players, of course. Hakeem McQuanu, J.C. Horn, and the last couple of drafts, Derek Brown as well. So, I think likely they sit tight, but at the same time, I think they're going to make as many calls as they can to try and trade up, maybe with Detroit, maybe with the Cardinals, maybe with the Seahawks. A lot of possibility. Some people saying, oh, well, Young and Stroud aren't good enough to trade up for. I disagree with that. Stroud and Young would thrive in this offense. And I think Young, if it weren't for his size, if he was probably 6'4", 226, he's my highest graded quarterback ever, more than likely. But he isn't, unfortunately. He did not grade well in terms of size for me. He's still a great quarterback prospect, worth trading up for, worth the number 1 overall pick for whoever ends up trading up for that spot. Stroud is worth trading up for, especially if he's available. If he's available at number 3, you go and get him. I know Monty has been big on that. He's been hammering the table, hammering down on the table, we gotta get CJ Stroud, man. We gotta get him. I'm I get it, man. I get it.
Annoying, though. He mad annoying. I don't disagree, but it's bruh, come on.
Monty, I love you, bro. Always love. I got to see him at a Panthers training camp last year, so it was good to see him. Great to meet him. Great dude, man. Awesome dude. But if they trade up for CJ Stroud, I would have no issue with it whatsoever. You give up a first-round draft pick for him for next year, worth it. Stroud is a great player, great quarterback prospect, first round grade. Now you enter into the realm of maybe taking Will Levis or Anthony Richardson. Personally, I've said this before, I've said multiple times, and it's been controversial for some, especially for the people that believe in certain media narratives. And I would take Anthony Richardson over Will Levis at number 9 overall. There's this narrative that like he's a 2-year project. Oh, he's super raw. He's going to take so much time. I'm like, watch the tape. First 3 weeks, if he played like that the first 3 weeks, like I'd understand. But he's a 1-year starter in college football. So and he showed great pocket awareness and mental processing for someone who has only started 1 year of college football. He has a great arm, great athleticism. He flashes good accuracy, especially being able to place the ball where the receiver can get yards after the catch. Played in a gimmicky offense under Billy Napier. I wasn't a big fan of that offense, but man, he navigated the pocket well. He made good decisions with the football. Like he knew where he wanted to go with the football. I think the biggest thing was having more down-to-down consistency as he got better with that as the season went along. You could see the mechanics start to mesh together a little bit more. You could see better tempo with his throws. He wasn't throwing fastballs consistently. He was starting to throw more touch, better accuracy down the field. And I said this earlier today. I tweeted it out. Anthony Richardson is more inexperienced than raw.
Yeah.
You allow him to get more playing time, which he needs, and you allow him to grow that way. And I've been trying to hold on to this take as long as I could. But I do say it on Twitter just to like kind of like ease the tensions. Like, oh, he may not start year 1 at all, or he may not start right away. I could see a scenario where Anthony Richardson is the starter week 1 for an NFL franchise, or a team that desperately needs a quarterback. And even Carolina, I could see him starting week 1 in Carolina. He works so hard. Like you could tell he was just learning every down, every play. It was like you could see it starting to click for him as the season went along. So I was really impressed with Anthony Richardson's progression. Now let's talk about Will Levis. 2-year starter, didn't really show a lot of promise in his second year as a starter, like in terms of progression. But there is stuff to like. And Monty, I know, is big fan of Will Levis. So big arm, of course, great size. And he's got great mobility as well. Came from offenses that were run by McVay and Shanahan disciples. And that shows like he understands the language of those type of offenses, and that can translate well to the next level. Is there a chance he goes number 1 overall, or he ends up being the first pick in the draft? Certainly a possibility. Houston may love him to death, may end up wanting to like be patient with him, develop, because Houston's rebuild's going to take a couple more years at least. And even if the Texans struggle again this year, like they should show progress. And if Will Levis is their guy, they'll take him. With Levis, I really wouldn't mind if Carolina drafted him. I really wouldn't mind it at all. I don't have an issue with it whatsoever because, there's a lot of things with his game that are fixable, that are coachable. And, he has the prototype size like that. I get it. With Levis. I did like his tape a little bit better than some people. He did get a solid second round grade for me. Of course, accuracy was concerned. Mechanics were a little bit inconsistent. Pocket awareness wasn't great, but he wasn't in a great situation in Kentucky either. So, receivers couldn't get open. The offensive line wasn't great. Like, he wasn't in a great situation in Kentucky either. So, you know, I would love to take a chance on both players. It's worth the risk. But I do prefer Richardson because, you know, you see a lot more with him. And I think he's a little bit more of a complete player than Levis, as shocking as that might sound. Let's see. Big arm, quick release, injury prone. Now, see, I'm not – the take of him being injury prone, I don't agree with, because, like, it's the one season he had injuries. Like, I do think that affected his game a little bit. And I think that affected his decision of going to the Senior Bowl. And some people were calling him soft for not going to the Senior Bowl whatsoever. I don't agree with him being soft whatsoever. He's not a soft player. He's a very competitive football player. I think he's going to interview with teams at the combine. I'm not worried about that. He's going to interview with teams at the pro days. He's going to have top 25, top 50 visits to teams during the offseason for different injuries. I get it. Like, he was injured last year, but like, if the injuries translate to the next level as he becomes a starter, we'll talk about injury prone, but I'm not there yet. Will Levis has a higher grade than Matt Corral on my board. Barely. Barely. But I will also say this. I want to talk about Hendon Hooker for a second, because that whenever you talk about Hendon Hooker on Twitter nowadays, it seems to be a controversial topic, even if you say, like, oh, he's a 4th-round grade type of quarterback, which he is for me. He had a 4th-round grade. Hooker reminds me a lot of Matt Corral, bigger, but the issue is he's older, comes from an offense that is hard to translate to the next level, a vertical tempo spread offense that doesn't involve a lot of reads, or doesn't involve a lot of full progression reads. Accuracy was inconsistent at times. Like, he showed decent accuracy at times. It's just, again, inconsistent. Good arm. I wouldn't call it a great arm. Great athleticism. I think he's a lot more athletic than Matt Corral was, but like, he's 25 years old. That's going to limit his ceiling at the next level. The injury is going to hurt him in terms of being able to do really anything in the pre-draft process except interviews. And by the time his rookie contract is up, he's going to be 29, 30 years old. I'm not a big fan of that. I think he's a fine player overall, and he could be a spot starter, developmental prospect, someone you could probably take a chance on, projected probably 2nd or 3rd round. Like, I'm okay taking him that high. 1st round, all the way out, and Hendon Hooker being a 1st-round pick. So Tanner McKee, I haven't watched Tanner McKee yet. I'm hoping to do so later in the process. I kind of want to get through a lot of the bigger name prospects. Haven't gone to Devin Weatherspoon yet. Levis is old too. Yeah, but he's 23, which means he's probably going to be 27, 28 years old by the time his rookie contract is up, which is a lot better than being 30 years old once your 1st contract is up. So, you know, the ceiling with Levis, it's higher because he's got the mobility. He's been in an NFL. He's been in a West Coast offense before. He's going to understand the language of an NFL offense better. He's got the mobility. Like, he has the flashes of being a great quarterback. You just need to have him in a good situation to succeed. I think if he was drafted to Carolina, he'd be in a good situation to be able to develop and be a starter and be a good starter in Carolina. Brady's 100. Well, the age thing, and people are like, oh, age doesn't matter. Let me give you an example. Kenny Pickett from Pittsburgh last year. Kenny Pickett was 24 years old coming into the draft, and he was going to be 25 or like 24, 25 during his rookie year. Like, it was that a little concerning for me? Yes. But the reason why I thought he was probably going to have more early success in the NFL is because he read the field really well. He came from an NFL-like offense at Pittsburgh where he had to read the full field, work progressions, work high-low progressions. Like he worked with true pro concepts. Hooker, on the other hand, he's got steeper transition, just like Matt Corral did coming out, or does coming out of Ole Miss. Similar offense. And, you know, it's hard for me really. And also to note, one of my colleagues, Tyler Forno, or Tyler Fornes, he was mentioning, you know, in a pro style offense at Virginia Tech when Hendon Hooker was there, he wasn't great there either. Makes you think that he's maybe not, he needs time. He needs time, but it's also like, is he really going to be a starter in the NFL, a full-time starter? I don't know. I really do hope Hooker has success at the next level. Mm-hmm. It's just, it's going to be hard for him in terms of the transition. It's going to be a longer transition. And the difference from being in a spread, vertical, fast tempo offense at Tennessee compared to maybe a more methodical offense in the NFL, that's a steep transition. And it was a steep transition for Matt Corral. And let's see, some other comments. Highest sack to pressure rates of all quarterbacks, 100. The rushing yards thing, I hate when college football is using sack totals, sack yardage totals as rushing stats. That is the most annoying thing. Likely Levis had over 500, 600 yards rushing last year. He's getting sacked a lot. He had some bad sacks. I'm not going to ignore that. I do think that Panther fans need to be prepared to draft Levis at 9 overall if he's available. They just need to be prepared for it because if he is there, if he's the last quarterback remaining, you draft him there because he has the potential to be a franchise quarterback at the next level, in my opinion. I mean, let's see. What's crazy is AR's 29 spots higher in QBR. I don't mean to be like super blunt or trying to be like hostile or anything. I just don't take box score stats into account. Like I don't really, I take into account when it comes to like, okay, he was productive in college or something like that. What was his stats and somewhat in certain games I want to watch, but it doesn't dictate how I evaluate a player. I look at, are they accurate on all three levels of the field? Do they show good ball placement? Can they read the field well? Do they have good consistency on a down-to-down basis? Do they have great arm talent? Do they do a good job adjusting to the environment that they're in? There's so many factors in evaluating a quarterback, probably more than any other position. So you know,
let me jump in here real quick, Jared.
Yeah, go ahead.
Since we were just talking about AR, JD, you mentioned this earlier when we were talking about potential offensive coordinators. For those that may not can put the dots together here, which I kind of hope we do, but if we are able to snag Brian Johnson from the Eagles as their quarterback coach and make him the offensive coordinator here, give us the quarterback that you said he has a relationship with and why you think that would be a winning formula here in Carolina.
Given, let's see, I don't want to misspeak and get Brian Johnson's his experiences. I want to do his due diligence and get that right. But I believe there's a tie there to time back to Florida with Anthony Richardson and Brian Johnson. And the reason why that's such an attractive duo for me, when we look at the state of the game of football right now, you're seeing a lot of quarterbacks, not only who are mobile, who are excellent athletes in the open field. You're seeing a lot more. I remember back before Cam came into the league, RPO was like a curse word. Because they were like, that's a college style offense.
But that,
this is the
now
NFL.
that's gossip. That's gossip now.
That's
gospel.
literally it's the
That's
literal reason. It's the
That's
literal reason. Look, it's the literal reason why the Philadelphia Eagles are playing in the Super Bowl on Sunday. Like it's one of the core. It's one of their elements of their offense. So seeing and to mention the people that say AR is not going to be ready day one, I highly disagree because we just going to run a lot of RPOs. He's a 4'4" athlete who can do a backflip at 250 pounds. It's like, it's not football. I swear to you, football and offensive things are not that hard. It's not complicated.
And JD, also, I want to mention this as well. He has a larger margin for error because of his athleticism and mobility. And I could say the same thing for Will Levis as well. He's not probably the elite athlete that Richardson is, but he is still a really good athlete, and he can run the ball pretty well. And I remember there was an article that Zach Hicks of Cold Stampede wrote a few months ago, and he was making the argument that mobile quarterbacks are the safer quarterback prospects than like the traditional pocket passers. Because because of the state of the league right now, the margin for error with mobile quarterbacks is much larger than it is with pocket passers. Because their athleticism allows them to create out of structure, allows them to throw on the move and escape like chaotic pockets at times. The positive thing though with Richardson is that he will rarely like take off and run when like there were times where he did just go and take off and run, but there were times where he didn't, and he did because like it was the right decision to do so. There was no one open. You go out and get yards with your legs. When there was someone open, he would navigate the pocket and work to get to that receiver. He would manipulate defenders with his eyes and with his body language in the pocket. We saw it against Georgia. We saw it against Tennessee. JT QB School did a video on Richardson's tape against Tennessee, and I think he did it against Florida State as well. Like Richardson does such a good job, like manipulating defenders. It is crazy good how good he is as a first-year starter. Like I don't think fans understand that. Like how impressive he was on tape. They're going to keep looking at the stats, keep going with some of the false media narratives that he needs 2 years to develop. That's simply not true. That's not true whatsoever. QB School, JT O'Sullivan, if you're not watching his videos, you better do so. He's arguably elite, the best quarterback guru out there. I would highly recommend watching his videos. I learn a lot from JT every time I watch a video. So understanding different concepts, understanding what the quarterback is thinking. But this is an era of quarterback where the pocket passer is dying in a way. And like you're more reliant on mobile quarterbacks, backyard football in a way. Richardson can do that. Levis can do that. So I would not be surprised if someone traded up for Anthony Richardson. And but at the same time, I could see him going anywhere in the first round. And it kind of reminds me of Lamar Jackson in a way because he could have gone anywhere in the first round as well. Back in 2018. And that was the first draft I did evaluations on prospects for. And I remember Baker Mayfield was my QB1. Or no, Baker Mayfield and Josh Rosen were tied for QB1. Kind of regret that now. Baker is still one of my favorite players, but and so and let's see who said that? Hamanath. I think I got that right. people are comparing Anthony Richardson to Malik Willis, and I've had several people comment at me like, "Oh, but didn't you say that the Panthers should take Malik Willis in the first round last year?" Like I said, I wouldn't mind if that were the case. I wouldn't mind it.
Mhm.
I never said I want him to be the 6th overall pick. I mean, I'm pretty sure I probably said that at some point. And if you want to expose me for it, go ahead. I don't care. But yeah, I'm starting to get petty. Am I good?
Yep.
Yeah, you're good now. Yeah,
What for me? It was gracious.
yeah, as soon as you said petty, it went out. So
I got your pick.
It was probably one of those Twitter accounts that's always in Monty's mentions, just rent free. But anyways,
right.
Yeah.
Well, real quick though, I pulled up Brian Johnson's resume here a little bit, just so people can get some background, because I think a lot of people just now hearing him for the first time. Basically, he was Alex Smith's backup at Utah when he was the quarterback there. He from 2010 to 2011, he was a QB coach there. 2012 to 2013, he was offensive coordinator and the quarterback coach for Utah. 2014 to 2016, the QB coach at Mississippi State. 2017, the OC and the QB coach at Houston. This is where he ran into Richardson at Florida at 2018, 2019, the QB coach. 2020 was the offensive coordinator and the QB coach. And then this was his this is his second year with the Eagles, because he was there 2021 and this year as their QB coach. So there lies the connection from with Anthony Richardson and Brian Johnson, was from the time that he was recruited, because I pretty much bet he was the one that helped recruit Anthony Richardson to Florida here. Because personally, and JD, we've said this numerous times, the coaching staff really didn't do Anthony Richardson justice, not only with the type of gimmicky offense that was run, but as far as like teaching him the footwork and mechanics that's needed. Because I think for all the flaws that he has, and he does have, all these quarterback prospects have flaws, but if you got a coach that has a coaching staff that has teachers that could teach these things like footwork, because when Jerry, you hit it right on the spot with the QB coach, he was pointing out that had Richardson's footwork been, one step here, one step, better, that was a difference with several throws, and I just really think that all this, after the combine and the pro days, I really think that Anthony Richardson's stock is going to shoot up here, and I think that if we decide that it's too rich to trade up, I would not lose no sleep or feel any kind of way if we drafted Anthony Richardson with the number 1 overall pick. Now, take it for what it's worth. Several mock drafts have had him gone before we even drafted him. Like all 4 quarterbacks have been gone. Again, can't take those but so much. But I just brought up for the sake of conversation. So, we just need Panthers need to have a plan in place to secure one of these top 4 quarterbacks at all costs. We cannot lead this draft without one of them. That's just that's the way it is. Because when I think about Frank Reich's presser again on Feinberg, he was asked what type of quarterback he wanted. He mentioned specifically a quarterback that can handle all 3 levels of the RPO game, and he also mentioned a quarterback that can stand back in the pocket 10 times a game and deliver strikes downfield. And for me, I can see that.
Personally, I think all four of those top quarterbacks have that ability to do so.
Mm-hmm.
Young can do that. Stroud can do that. Richardson can do that. Levis has shown flashes of doing that. So, Carolina can just pick whoever they want at one of those 4 quarterbacks and just go to town, start developing him. Levis, I don't think he will start week 1. He may not start year 1, and that's okay. As long as he's starts adjusting to the game. I mean, if he's able to develop faster than we think, great. I do think he's a future starter. I do think he's a future top 15 quarterback. I think Richardson, his ceiling, he has the ability to be on Lamar Jackson's level of quarterback play, maybe even higher. Bryce Young has the potential to be probably in that same area with Lamar Jackson. CJ Stroud, same way. I mean, these guys have the ceiling to be legitimate above average quarterbacks without question. And I think an above average quarterback on last year's roster or last season's roster, they're in the playoffs easily. They won that division. No question about it. So I think with this quarterback class, especially the top 4, you want to understand which flaws each quarterback has, but you also want to understand, okay, this is where he can get better at, but he also can do well in this area already. So, and also I want to address the narrative about CJ Stroud. There's so narratives out there that he's a pocket passer mainly. But I mean, I'm listen, if you didn't watch the Georgia game, you must have missed out on something because that CJ Stroud decided to be listen, I've been hearing about this stuff for a month. Let me talk to him real quick.
Hey, Jerry, hit it with the Jay-Z. Allow me to reintroduce
myself. Yes, exactly. No cap. I was listening to that song earlier. Perfect. That's perfect. Ambrose said AR can be in the Josh Allen territory. Levis too. I mean, both players can. They really can. I mean, guys, I can't tell you the need for the quarterback position in this draft for Carolina. There are some people out there that really do want to not draft Richardson and Levis and be like, oh, let's go into 2024 and draft Caleb Williams and whoever, Quentin Ewers, Drake May, whatever. And it's the same several accounts too. And I just don't agree with that. The Panthers really need to go after the quarterback now. They have to.
Yes.
And it has to be a rookie quarterback. I want them to get a bridge quarterback just so they can have that veteran in the locker room. Maybe it is Sam Darnold. Maybe it's Jacoby Brissett. I doubt they bring back Cam Newton. I think that chapter is done. I think we're done with that. I think Cam Newton's honestly, I think he's I don't see him playing anymore.
Right.
As much as I hate saying that as a big Cam Newton fan, I mean, you two know how big of a Cam Newton fan I am. I think lately it's just more understanding who he was and how he was as a player.
I'm a fan of bringing PJ Walker back because I believe he's a restricted free agent.
Yeah.
And he was someone that played with Frank Wright as well. So
yeah, exactly.
When he was up with the Colts. So who knows? I mean, again, I'm just thinking of him because I'm thinking of knows Wright's offense and affordable. As well, like I say, with our salary, our pockets is tight. So, so don't necessarily write off PJ Walker just yet because he was 4th string and ended up being started for us for 5-6 games this year. So,
and also Matt Corral. There's always that chance that Corral could end up being. I doubt it. I think he's more the 3rd string quarterback this season. I know there's still fans of Matt Corral out there, but personally, I have a hard time seeing a path to where he can be a reliable starter for this franchise. Just because you drafted Matt Corral, as exciting as he was in college, just because he drafted in the 3rd round and he got hurt, he needed time to develop. I don't see a way he ends up being a starter. Honestly, I hate saying that. I hope he proves me wrong, but I don't see path for him right now. Yeah. Ambrose brings a good point. Those Frank injuries, they can be killer. I mean, Travis Etienne had a Liz Frank injury last year and he ended up rushing for 1,000 yards. So who knows? I mean, injuries are so weird. It really depends on like how you're able to rehab, stuff like that. But anyways, we're at the 2-hour mark already. Holy cow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when you gotta love football. I mean, you could talk about it. I mean, you don't feel like 2 hours to me, but
yeah. Felt like 45 minutes.
Right. We don't want to keep JD up past his curfew. So
wow.
Nah, don't do that to him. Don't do that to him.
Wow.
Foul,
Incredible.
man. That's foul.
Hey man.
They be trying to dunk on me in the chat and everywhere. I could be minding my business.
Yo, JD, you know I be having your back, man. You know I had to just play with you a little bit, man.
Look, Kev cool with me, bro. Now the rest of them, I gotta get my smoke back. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah, man. You know,
I was right along with you with the Shy Smith train, man. So I rise with you.
Yeah. But Shy Smith owed me some money.
R.I.P. Shy Smith.
Look, he owed me some money. We're gonna draft his replacement. It's all right though. We're gonna have to do this again though, for real.
Yeah.
And really get into the meat and bones of this draft class.
Hey man, I'm down. I'm down to come back and talk more draft with y'all. I'd 100% be down.
I'm thinking 2 times, honestly, Jared. Maybe, after the week or so of free agency, see what we do there.
Yeah.
And
cool.
then definitely a post draft show. So, like I said, man, we consider you one of us, man. So you definitely have an open invite to come back here with the 4-man rush and to share your knowledge, share your insight and your opinions and your logic. So definitely
I appreciate it, man. I really do. Means a lot. Appreciate it.
Yeah. So, gentlemen, any closing remarks here that you want to share with the good fans that's been sticking around? We've been averaging around. I've been watching, for these 2 hours, about 30 people watching consistently. So, for all you that's watching us, we want to say thank you for sticking it out with us these last 2 hours. As you see, it's just great conversations. Like I said, it's like sitting at the barbershop on a Saturday morning.
Yep.
Guys talking football. That's all it is. But yeah, Jerry, you have any closing remarks? Anything you'd like to say?
None that I can think of. Just looking forward to seeing what Panthers Twitter is going to argue about tomorrow.
Facts.
Yeah, we gotta see it every day, man. They're going to be talking about Derek Brown tomorrow, probably, or Brian Burns, one of the two. It's going to be someone.
Yeah, it's always somebody.
Yeah. Yo, the hate for Dante Jackson and he has more interceptions since anybody else drafted since 2018 is crazy to me, man.
Right.
It's wild.
That'll be a talk for another day, though.
Right. JD, any closing remarks for you?
Nah, man. Make sure y'all wash your body before you get in bed. You know what I'm saying, in the chat, because y'all been in here putting in, flexing them finger muscles. You know what I'm saying. Had a long day. You know what I'm saying. Relax, eat you some food, drink you some water, stay hydrated, all that good stuff. You know what I'm saying. Like, shout out to moms, them pops. I'm just rambling now because I'm low key running on fumes. We're going to get into this draft content, man. It's going to be an exciting time for the 4-man rush. We're going to get these profiles out, you know what I'm saying? Get to arguing over why my guy's better than I have this guy been higher than the other guys, you know. Wide receiver top 25 dropping from me, and it's going to be some bombshells in there. So make sure y'all stay tuned, man. We ramping up. It's almost the peak of the off season, man. So make sure y'all stay plugged in.
All right, and again, you can follow Jared on Twitter at JRodNFLDraft. If you haven't followed him already, make sure you do. Definitely, like I say, good information, good insight. We can find me and JD at here as well. Thank you guys. We appreciate your interaction. Even when we don't see eye to eye, but we still can converse without it getting personal and too petty. appreciate it. Some of these people, well, their motive is try to stir the pot, so just, we can talk football, but we stay ready with the petty. So just be prepared. That's all I can say.
That's some bar.
On God. But anyway, but again, Jared, we appreciate you so much for making time. This was long overdue. Glad that you were able to accept my my invite request. Definitely got to chop it up again. Again, like I said, maybe like a month from now, because like I said, free agency, the new league year starts March 15th. So we'll see what kind of moves Panthers made. I'll hit you up like, hey, you busy? Come on back to the clubhouse. We want to chop it up some more. And definitely end of April or early May, post draft, and we'll go from there as we see what kind of groceries now that Scott Fitterer has complete control over the kitchen. See what we can get cooking up in here. So, all right. Well, again, thank you all for following us here at the 4-Man Rush. On behalf of everyone here at the 4-Man Rush, we want to thank you guys so much. Again, thank you for listening tonight to me, JD, and our special guest, Jared Feinberg. Again, follow him. You'll definitely get a lot of great content. And as you see, a wealth of information. This is your main man, Kevin Avery, a.k.a. 4MR_Country Kev. Thank you all again. We'll catch you guys on our different social media platforms. Thank you for being a fan of the 4-Man Rush. Y'all stay safe.